time since I worked with this stuff. Let me get you guys up here. You gonna help me? Alright, is that better? Is that good? Had to hit the hydros for a second. Hang on, I might be able to get a little bit better angle here. Is that good? What are we gonna do? My co-star, Pablito. So what is going on, everybody? I'm gonna do some stuff with solvents today. I haven't used this stuff in quite a while. A lot of it is dried up and crusty. Some of the caps have cracked and they're all, it's looking rough over here. But I've picked out some that I think I'll be able to work with for the most part. Here, let me start by showing you a few examples of stuff that I've done before. These are all magnets. They're just like panels with magnets on them, but there's a little house. This one's on a mirror. I just put a little magnet on the back. A little 3x3 mirror. Little landscape. What do you think? Hey. These are cool. This is actually what I'm going to use today. This is a canvas panel magnet. This is actually how it came. I didn't do that to this like I did those. But this is a pretty cool one. Here's another one, same size. Hoping it gets a good focus on these so you guys can see them. Here's another canvas panel that I just put a magnet on the back of. Now something like this, I used relief gel. So there's this gel that you draw these lines on, and then when you work with this stuff, you do it flat and you put it in there, and then it spreads to the lines, it spreads to the edges. That's how I got the sharp edges on this one, was with the gel and doing a drawing on it first. Excuse me, thank you. As opposed to no gel and everything just kind of gelling together like that. And here's another one that I did with relief gel. Alright, so put those over here. Now, my buddy on here that's watching, Michael White Jr., bought this one from me a few days ago off my Etsy store, which I've linked in the title here. He really liked that one a lot, but he said he wanted a different one too. So we were chatting this afternoon, and I was asking him kind of what he was looking for, and I found this panel. It's the same size as the one that he already bought. It's a 6x6. So he gave me a couple of color ideas, and told me basically just have fun and and do what I want with it, which is cool. That's what I'll do. Get this off without getting it too dirty, hopefully. There we go. So what are you guys up to? I can see your comments here on my computer screen. Yeah, Pablo is pretty laid back for the most part, but he definitely loves to play. To play all day long. Somebody will play with him. Oh, thank you, Linda. I miss you, Tony. All right. Thanks, Michael White Jr., kind of the sponsor of this stream. He got me motivated. All right, so let's dig in. Okay, I got a game plan. See, this one is called, I think I called this one Let Me Take You Down. So it's like Strawberry Fields kind of reference. I like to, especially with all these other little pieces that I've done, all the Solvent stuff, I like to name them after song lyrics, typically. But I don't really, I have a picture in my head of this one, what I want to do. It's not going to be exactly like this, but it's going to have a lot of the same colors. Okay, so there's 3 different types of this stuff. Here's like a big tube of it. This company is called Cabello Vitrail or Vitrail. It's really, really volatile, stinky, chemically stuff, I think is the technical description for OSHA on the MSDS for this stuff, or the material safety data sheet, as we refer to it in the industry. So there's basic color or clear color, but it's a solid color and it doesn't do anything. And that's the vitriol stuff. That's the main, this is mainly vitriol. This is like, I just swirled it all together. I do all this stuff with toothpicks. But when you mix things together, okay, another category of this stuff is moon, which does like a very moon-like surface. If you just let it spread out and let the chemical reaction happen on its own, it has a very like cratery, moony surface. And then the other stuff is called prisme. So there's vitriol, moon, and prisme. And prisme does like a hand-hammered bronze kind of effect. I don't know if you can see that on the label. But a fun thing that I've realized is when you get all 3 of them together, they have like a very volatile reaction, and you get a lot of nuances and little details come out. Let me see if I can show you an example of what I mean. Well, just this type of stuff, how you can see all the little cells that happen, that's from the chemical reaction going on between 2 different types of product. Same with this skyline here, a lot of happy accidents. Now see, the moon on this one was just a solid drop of moon, and I let it do what it does and dry, so that's, you can see exactly what that chemical does on its own right there. Okay, so for this one, what I want to do, I want to have like a solid green background to start with. That way anything that I do later on top of that, the chemical reaction that happens is going to force that out and make darker borders and lighter parts here and there. It's going to make things change differently than if I just did a little bit of green around the outside and then tried to fill it in with chemicals in the middle. I want to have like a solid undercoat that everything else kind of soaks into and has to, is forced to deal with. So the base coat that I'm going to use is going to be this light green. I'm gonna put enough of it on here that I can spread it out and give it a nice even coating. And then I'm gonna come in with some darker moon and let that spread out into it a little bit, and then I'm going to highlight it with some red. I haven't decided which red I'm going to use yet, but one of these over here. Alright, so that's the game plan. This is the longest part of it, trying to get this first coat spread out, cover this whole surface. I'm just going to have to dip a few drops on here. Yeah, that might be enough. This stuff goes pretty far, but I want a pretty light layer to start with. Can you guys hear the music? I can turn it up a little bit if you can't hear it. Thanks for all the likes and love, guys. Alright, let's just run this out a little bit. See how much we can cover just with gravity. Okay, I'm probably going to need a little bit more, I can tell already, but it's very sludgy. Alright, yeah, I'm going to need a little bit more. Since a big part of why I don't do streams as often as I used to, and as passionate as I was about it, Facebook just got really, really ridiculous with copyright problems and banning streams and taking your videos down and all this other crap because of the music in the background. So music is a huge part of my life, and if I can't do something that I want with music going on in the background, then I just pretty much don't want to do it most of the time. Oh great, now I gotta drop on my workspace. Let me clean that up before it gets carried away. Like I said, this stuff is pretty volatile. You don't want to get it on your skin if you don't have to. And if you do, you're going to be dealing with that spot on your skin for a few days. Alright, so I'm just spreading it out with the toothpick. I want to try to cover the whole surface, and somewhat quickly too. The stuff doesn't dry anywhere near as fast as paint, well, acrylic anyway, but it definitely starts to, it doesn't really dry, but like an element of moisture evaporates out of the chemical, so it thickens, not so much dry, and it comes to a nice polished, like hard shell, kind of like nail polish. It gets pretty far down on the toothpick. So if you guys can hear the music, I'm listening to my old band and home recordings that I've done in the hopes that Facebook won't take down my post or give me a week-long ban for using music that I'm completely entitled to use. To sum up what I was talking about earlier about why I don't do streams so often. That's why. Because they've just made it ridiculous. Alright, I need to get a fresh toothpick here. That's what this little Q-tip boxes for, full of older projects, toothpicks. All right, I think I'm gonna put a little bit more. You could use painting knives, I'm sure, like a palette knife or something. You mean, or like a, yeah, you could totally. See, I don't want to go to all the corners just yet. I still want to have one or two that I can grab onto to manipulate this stuff. So yeah, if anybody out there listening happens to have any royalty-free, copyright-free music, like your own music or whatever, that you would like for me to have to possibly use in live stream situations, and by all means message me, and I'll give you my email, and you can give me your music and I'll give it some exposure. And I'll be able to do what I want comfortably, listening to good music without worrying about it all being for nothing because Facebook's just going to take it down because of the music. Really frustrating. Alright, so we're getting there. Almost 100% coverage now. Backtrack it a little bit, try to spread everything out as evenly as possible. Head back for that last corner. See how slowly and sludgy this stuff moves because it's already evaporating, getting thicker by the second. See, I've got a nice uniform, almost, shade of green going on now. Patience. Patience, grasshopper. Alright. Trying to stay where you guys can see. So is the music good? Can you guys even hear it? I'm sorry if somebody answered me already and I didn't see it. Comments are not scrolling, they're just kind of fixed for some reason. There's no music playing at this moment anyway. Alright, cool. There we go. All the way. I'm just looking around for all the little white edges. I want to make sure that they're green before I lay it down flat. And I'm just going through and making sure that all my little pick marks and things like that are out. I just want to make it look like a natural kind of thing happened. Alright. How's that look? Pretty cool? Pretty green? Try to get the thickest part of all of the liquid that remains on here towards the middle, so it gives it a nice pool of fluid to work with all the other stuff I'm going to put on. All right, cool. Before I get much further, I do all this stuff with toothpicks, so I always have something handy that I can get the remaining little bit of stuff off of the toothpick and use it on a whole other different piece of art before it goes into the collection pile that will probably also be turned into some different art someday. So I've had a few cups of coffee, now it's time to move on to green tea. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Alright, so this one is called Ebony Moon. And I'm gonna have to stir it up. Oh. Hopefully. There's a little shell that is formed here. Okay. Ooh, it's very, very sludgy. Very thick, and it separates these chemical ones, the moon and the prisme, the product separates very, very heavily, especially if they've sat for a long time like these have. So it's really, really important if you ever work with this stuff to give the chemicals a good stir. Like shaking won't do it. You have to physically stir all this stuff up and get the right chemical reaction. Alright, so see that? Very runny, thick texture. So I'm going to try to just get some of that on here and move it around. A little bit, somewhat of a random fashion. I want to get a little bit different spots going on. Try to get their own little islands. Just a few little spots all on their own. So what did you guys do today? What have you been doing? Keep yourselves busy. I got up and went to the grocery store, get some stuff for work and everything. It wasn't too bad. I got everything I needed. I needed some stuff for the spa too, some tablets and things to keep it going. They had that. They had my test strips. So that was cool. What did I do with that paper towel? Oh, I threw it away like a dummy. So can you guys see what's happening there? Let me give you up close real quick. So you can see the chemical reaction that's going on with this stuff. Eating up into the chemicals around it. Remember how I said it would make darker parts happen because it's forcing all that fluid around and interacting with it. These changes are happening very slowly as it sits. It spreads further and further. All right, so I'm gonna drop some red into the middle of that and let it all keep mingling together. So far we have apple green vitriol and ebony moon on here. Now I'm gonna get into a solid red. I'm getting this stuff everywhere. Another reason why I don't work with this stuff all that often. It's volatile if you work with it, especially in a confined area or a smaller room. It can give you a headache really easily and just get you lightheaded. It's definitely working with chemicals here, and you have to be extra careful. Same reason I don't work with glass as often as I'd like to, because you have to be like in the right frame of mind. You have to be willing to devote your entire awareness to what you're doing, because like this case, you don't want to spill it, you don't want to get it on your skin, so you really have to be deliberate in what you're doing. So this is another vitriol color, but unlike the green, this is opaque, so a bit different. And all these spots where it's mixed in with the moon, it's going to be a bit different the more it sits. Again, all these chemical reactions and things are still going on the surface, and the more I build up the level of fluid, the more they're able to freely mingle and interact with each other, as opposed to if they were just kind of pulled in their own little separate parts of the canvas. The more fluid you have on there, the more it can interact with each other and get more detail, more chemical reaction. Alright, so now I've got green, black, well, ebony, moon. This one is just red, vitriol, opaque. Now I want some highlight colors. I think I'm gonna go for like a little bit of violet. Maybe just a few drops anyway. The vitriol itself, like the solid color, seems to always be pretty runny, and you can shake it to mix it. But the other colors get really thick and sludgy. Just put a bunch of random little drops here and there. Mix it up a little bit. I don't have black. All these containers. I don't have any black, but Michael said that green and black were his favorite, so adding this purple in here without diluting it much is going to give the sensation of black. Cool. Alright, now, like I said, one of the fun things to do and how to get the best chemical reactions going on is to get all three of the chemicals together on there. So I've got to get some Prisme on there. I haven't done any Prisme yet. I'm going to stick with the red, pick a different Prisme. Let me see what I got here. This cherry blossom is probably going to be a bit darker. That's what I'm looking for. Looking pretty sludgy. Oh yeah, that's probably going to be too thick to work with. Yeah. It broke the toothpick. Yeah, this stuff is past the point of saving, I believe. Well, I've got a different Prisme here, different red, hopefully this one. Savable. Oh yeah, it seems like it's much better, much fresher. Some of these I've had for years and used, and once you open them, you get a little bit of oxygen in the container, and it really doesn't help with shelf life. And this stuff is super expensive too, so if you wanted to work with any of this stuff, I would definitely recommend buying a few bottles at first and then working with it until it's like gone. Because you really don't want to sit on this stuff with how expensive it is, because it just doesn't last. Alright, so now we've got this red Prisme all mixed up really, really good. Actually, I'm going to continue to mix it even a little bit more because I can see how solid the separation still is in the container. Like I said, you really want to get the chemical mixed up well so it can do what it is supposed to do. I got into this stuff just because they started stocking it on the shelves in the art stores and in Sam Flax up in Orlando. And I'm pretty glad I did, because it's really interesting stuff and it makes for a really cool finished product. It's like special effects in painting. I need a little glob in the middle. This is a buddy of mine named Nola Deej, his old band called Rooftop Junkies, which I have in my library, just like how I asked a minute ago. He sent me his music long ago, and I've been using it in streams and YouTube videos and lots of stuff ever since. Alright, cool. So now we've got a little bit of everything on there. We've got Vitrell, we've got Moon, we've got Prisme. Now, I want to take a little bit of yellow. Not opaque yellow. Not this one. This one. I'm trying to find a smaller bottle of it though. And I just want to dump it on there to, I don't have a smaller bottle of it. Just to give everything a little bit more fluid to breathe so the chemical reactions can continue, because if you just let it go, things stop happening. But if you feed it, things continue happening. So I want things to continue. I'm gonna place a little bit of yellow in the mix just to keep everything fluid and breathing, moving on, and not change too much of the color palette that we've got going on all over the place. The yellow is just kind of give the green a goldish tint, but it's going to feed the chemical reactions. I always like to put a little bit, once it runs out and the drops start getting smaller and slower, like now, I like to move it out. That way you'll have a few little detailed drops here and there of every color that are undiluted on the piece in the end. It's looking pretty cool. I think I'm going to go in with the toothpick and do a little bit of manipulation, a few like paisley swirls and stuff like that. Get some of this yellow off here. This looks like almost like a Colorado mountain range. Looks like something Sean Chilcote would post. Alright, let me, I keep throwing my paper towels away. Why do I do that? I gotta keep this thing out. Let me get the camera. Bring you guys over here. I'm not left-handed and I don't have much cord here, so. Look at everything that's going on here. I want to go in and make some stuff happen. I want to stretch this red out like a starburst. Now this is a Prisme color, so all these little webs that I make will start reacting to all the colors and the different chemicals around it. Alright, I'm going to start waving it out a little bit. I'm going to make this basically the center. I mean, it really is the center technically, but I make a lot of things point to it. I really want to try to get wavy with it. Wavy gravy. Again, I'm trying to see, you can see when I run it through, it makes a valley all the way down to the canvas, and then it quickly fills in. breaking the separation and everything. And now all those chemicals are mingling. Things are happening. Brother and sister. I went with red because of the unspoken rule of art for complementary colors. If you have one color, there's only one other color that goes with it better than any other. And with green, that would be red. We got violet and yellow on here. All we're missing is orange and blue, but we kind of have oranges and blues happening with the colors that are mixing. Look at all the little fine toothpick lines that you can see now. See how the light is shining off this thing? That's how it's going to dry. See, this is a dried product here. You can see it just kind of evaporates away until you can see the texture of the canvas coming through. But it's still very hard and nail polishy. I'm not sure about the waterproofness of it, but I'm pretty sure it's solid. I mean, you could probably use something like this as a coaster, and you would probably get ring marks and everything, but it would last a while. Things are still changing. That ebony moon color is still spreading out and eating into all that extra fluid that I put on. So that's what I mean by all that extra yellow and the reds and everything just kind of added fuel to that ebony fire that's been spreading slowly this whole time. And it's giving it that dark ring too around the whole like glob of fluid or whatever. It makes it feel like something very organic. It won't be much different really from now, but there are still definitely plenty of chemical changes and appearance changes that are going to continue to happen over the next 10 to 15 minutes as this thing sits and dries. But all these little details and things, all these little spires will pretty much maintain. You'll probably see a little bit more cell activity in like the solid gray parts and everything. It'll break up a little more like it is on the outside. But other than that, that's probably pretty much about how it's going to look when it's finished. I really need to do a close-up time lapse of something like this sometime. Like, just have the camera like right here and don't move the piece, and then do a time lapse, and you could just see me doing what I do, but that's not what you would be witnessing, and the action of the time lapse would just be the chemicals. It would be pretty neat. I'll have to do that sometime. Everybody should go over to Stitched Ink UK. Don't forget to grab a card before you leave the stream. That's about it, guys. Pablo has had it. What do you think, dude? Stream over? Oh, I don't care. Oh, it's a tough life. Tough kitty life. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry I'm boring you. See the difference here already? There's a little bit more of that green peeking through and more cells starting to appear. See, there's still change. Still change is happening. See, more and more of that gray color will open up to let the green through. It's like it floats on top of it almost like an oil slick, and then it breaks here and there, and you can see the color underneath it. All right, kids. That's art time with Uncle JJ. I'll have to do some more streams here for you guys soon. Coming soon. But I needed to get this piece done because Michael paid for this one a few days ago now, and he's been patiently waiting for a custom piece. So there it is, buddy. Thank you for your support. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys are making the most of your time and reaching out to people that need to be reached out to, because it's the right thing to do. Don't just clam up. Be there for everybody that you love. All right? That's what I'm doing. All right. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.